Good evening and welcome to your space on Cool City Television. I am Obi Olive Sharon, and of course with me today in the studio is Mr. Nwafor Josh. Welcome Mr. Nwafor Joshua to the studio. Okay, today we'll be talking about the effect of poor drainage system. Considering the fact that we are in the raining season and this is the high time whereby we will be recording high rate of flooding around the different parts of the country. As we can see, we just recorded 1 or 2 days ago whereby we lost a young boy of 4 years to the flood that took place in Oba, a community in Lagos State. So with that, we'll be asking, what is this poor drainage system and what are the possible causes? In as much as this is not the first time we all are hearing poor drainage system, moreover, why do people actually keep a deaf ear to this drainage system, knowing fully well that it has lots of negative effects on their life, their properties, the environment, and all that?
Thank you so much for the question. But the issue with the flood as relating to the drainage system is not really on the hands of the people.
Okay.
It's more of a government-inflicted problem.
Okay.
It's a natural disaster. It's natural, but there is a role of the government. When constructing roads, we can look around in any good state here. They construct roads without gutters.
Okay.
So when you construct roads without gutters, then it begs the question: when on rainy season, when rain is pouring on those places, how do they pass through? How do they live? Okay, just last year, early in the electionary period and campaign and everything, there was serious flood at Bayelsa, at Benue State, and some other parts of the country. This is flood that even displaced the former president Goodluck Jonathan from his house.
Wow.
Where the president, if not that he was the president, he should have been sleeping by then at one of those or something. So, but this kind of a person who spent over 6 years in power couldn't look at that as a problem and solve it. And until today, that problem was not solved. Till today, even the ones that happened at around Onitsha, it hasn't been solved. Those problems are still there. It's just like natural disaster. It comes, it leaves, and God forbid it comes again. It would still happen or get even worse, because after the problem came, people in power, people who have the resources, people who are disposed to do that, people who have it as a responsibility to see to it that these things like this will not affect the people they are governing, they neglect it. It's mass negligence. There are responsibilities of the people to pay taxes. Taxes, it's a form of support to the government. Even though we are not really taxed so much down there in Nigeria, but with the available resources disposed to our government, to our elected government officials, it is enough. It is enough to see to it that issues like these are resolved. In the federal level, we have ministers of environment. If you come down to the states, we have commissioners for environment. There are senate committees for environment. There are Mr. Ike Konrad used to be the chairman of the committee on environment. Then in state level, we also have committees on that same thing, which Mr. Edelda used to chair in Enugu State before he left. The time he wants to contest for governorship. So there are people who have these things as a responsibility. If you walk down GRA, not so far from our office here, you find roads in GRA without gutters. So it begs the question, during rainy seasons, how do these waters live? Because some of these roads, there is this one very not so far from here, like maybe 5-10 minutes drive, where when it's rainy season, water literally pumps on that hard road. So it tells us that in the next 3-4 years, this road should be bad, because there is no system that this water that is standing here is living. You understand? And it's not just in Enugu State, it's not just in these parts of the world, it's a general thing. if state governments were doing, if the states and the federal governments were doing what they were to do in that area, the issue at Onitsha, the issue at Benue State, the flood-related issues, the issue also at Benue State, it wouldn't have happened, because this is not the first time it has happened. Even in Kogi State,
It happens.
it happens, and we leave it. With time again, it happens again, and the government sometimes don't even come out to give a press release on the situation of things.
Don't you think it's because people don't go to complain, people don't protest, they don't agitate?
People are dying. Anytime things like this happen, there is an account of properties lost.
Yeah.
There is an account of human life lost. There is an account of businesses that have been crumbled. You see filling stations being crumbled. By the time your four-story building is submerged underwater, and after a while, and it happens like that, it's submerged for like 1 week. After a while, the water dries down. Do you think people stay in that building? People eventually fall down. It will kill them. You understand? They imagine the weight and what water that must have done to that building for 1 whole week. So people are now scared to stay there. It's not something you tell me that the government is not seeing. The government of the day is seeing it. And even if they are not seeing it, it happens to the former president of the country. This is a top political figure. I wouldn't really, he's more than being a political figure.
Yes, he's more than that.
He's one of those people that decides the fate of the nation, even as a former president. You understand? This is a man that it is so shameful, I'm sorry, but for things like this to happen to a person like Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, it tells a lot about the level of responsibility we exhibit and carry out in this country. This is a man that has been, I think, deputy governor of that state. He has been a governor of that same state. He has been the vice president. He has been the president for 6 years. And in your primary states, in your own village, things like this come and we are affected directly. That is where he lives. That's where he stays. And the flood had to chase him out of his house. Somebody that spent 6 years in Aso Rock. Your own people can't even get liberated. You can't even liberate yourself. So it tells a lot about the kind of people we elect into public offices. And in the long run, it tells the kind of people we are as a people, because the leaders are part of us. It's from amongst us that leaders emerge. So it's a replica, it's a photocopy of the kind of people we are as Nigerians. Okay, we have issues of a child that was carried away by flood. This is just one of those things that's happened. Only God knows the number of people that died at Kogi State, where Lokoja, the capital of the state, was literally underwater. A serious portion of that land was literally underwater. Only God knows how many people that lost their lives there. I'm not talking about properties and businesses that might never find their way back into the marketplace. If you go to Anambra State, it happens time and over again. If you go to Benue State, it keeps happening.
But are there measures we individuals are meant to take? Are there roles we are meant to play? Since, okay, obviously now it's looking like the government are keeping daft ears towards these flood issues and drainage problems.
By the laws of the laws governing this country, we citizens don't even own lands. Even your father's land is owned by the government. That's what the law says. So things like this, there's little or nothing much individuals can do. It's the government that constructs roads. You understand? It's the government that constructs roads. So in states, when you start constructing roads without gutters, that's a way of trying to curb cost or something. If you go through the states, not just Enugu states, most of the states, you find a lot of roads that are without gutter. So what happened is that they just came, mapped out this place for road and started tiring it. No room for gutter. With the guys that doing gutter is very expensive and all this. But these things are the enablers that will enable that road you are constructing to last long, to be strong, and to stand the test of time.
But it's not just about constructing gutters. Most times we see that we hardly even maintain the gutters.
Let's
You see in the market areas where once it's raining, you see marketers throwing in garbage into the ground. All those stuff.
When, like in Enugu State now, they have Eswama.
Okay.
We have the primary rule that even when people dirty those things, it's their duty to clean it up. I'm not saying that the people should be
keep on doing it, yes.
but I'm saying that there's an agency
In charge
who
of
are being
that.
paid monthly to see to it that things like that are clean and kept fine. And these people, tax people, they have a structure in place that enables them make sure that everybody has the waste bin. They sell it themselves. They have a structure in place to even hold drivers that don't have small waste bin in their cars. These are waste bin that passengers will never use. You understand? So if they have all this in place, they should also have in place a system that would make sure that the roads are not just swept, but the gutters are also clean. But when I walk around some places in Enugu, I don't like to call names. It won't be as if I'm trying to spoil people's business. When I walk around some bakeries around town, around GRA, you won't get smell from there. You understand? They should be able to talk to these individuals that run these businesses. Or if they don't want to talk to them, they should see to it that these guys mess the place. They should clean it because it's their job. If you can't tell them how to do it well, you clean it. You understand? So these are the people that have to take the responsibilities. But we run a system of government and a kind of people where when you approach these agencies now and you meet their leaders, they find it very difficult taking responsibility of their actions or inactions. They find it very easy to blame it on staffs. They find it very easy to blame it on their superiors. They find it very easy to say that the equipment they need weren't provided enough. They find it very easy to call on Mrs. Amaka and Najemba, I think. They find it easy to blame the commissioner. They find it easy to blame the governor. They find it easy to insult senators or the president. But they have a simple tax. It's like it was on this past weekend, since Saturday, Sunday, where there was serious packed deaths along the streets of Nsukka town. I'm just seeing it on the internet. And people were complaining, asking who is in charge of this thing. At the end of the day, it was found out that somebody's in charge of it. It's somebody's duty. And he left his place of work. If you meet him, he will tell you that his superiors didn't give him enough money to do this, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. They will call their own superior. So you see, they keep passing blame from one person to the other. And this blame game thing is very simple. There's always somebody you can blame for anything that happens to you. But responsibility comes in when you try to jettison that person you can blame, and you try to put yourself that you should be the one to do this or that. You understand? In this side of flood, I would say it's the government.
To the blame.
Yeah, it's the government, because I find it difficult processing an idea that individuals should start building gutters. I find it difficult for individuals now to wake up, like for the crisis at Benue, Bayelsa, and...
But individuals can actually do something to, at least it's not even affecting the government, it's them themselves that this flood issues is actually affecting
that. Then when they find crude oil at somebody's backyard, then those individuals also carry that crude oil and sell. Yes, because if you find crude oil at your backyard, the law says that the government doesn't even owe you compensation. What they have to do is to remove you from the land, and it's their own. If they are compensating you, it's out of goodwill. So if the government has laws like this in place, to see to it that what has to come to them is getting to their pockets. If the government has a way where they collect tax, even from people, in as much as 15 naira from people, people that buy tickets 15 naira, 100 naira. If the government has a way of seeing to it that these monies come back to them, if the government has a way of checking NNPC, if they have ways by which they conduct elections and take ballot box to every local government, every ward, every village, if they have ways to control all these things, then they should also have ways to see to it that basic amenities are provided for the people. We are already accepting that we can't have light 24 hours.
Yeah.
We're already accepting that we can't have good drinking water.
Yeah.
We're already accepting that security is a
no, yeah.
But if we can't find at least safety,
one thing to hold on to,
it begs the question: why is there a government?
Okay. Before we round up the program, let's get to know. Do you think people are actually willing to step up to come into this drainage system problem to ensure that it comes to an end? Okay, in a situation where most times here we see people constructing their houses on top of waterways, pipes. What do we are people really willing
agencies
to do that?
There are agencies. This is boils down to mass and irresponsibility amongst people in power.
But whenever someone says that, he, Mr. A, built his house on a waterway and nothing was done, Mr. B actually does the same thing.
There is a master plan of Enugu State. You understand? It has been altered to a very serious extent. Like, some people complain about ShopRite not having to be where it is today. Some people complain about Zoo Estate not having to be an estate that is, what's it called? Where they keep animals. You understand? People complain about that it's part of the master plan of Enugu State. You understand? So there is a Capital Territory Development Agency in Enugu State. And sometime last 2 years, sometime 2019, 2020, they went on a serious rampage around GRA and Enugu Metropolis, destroying a lot of things, people's houses, businesses, shops, and everything. That they said that those things were not in line according to the general plan of Enugu State. That those things are not supposed to be there. I've seen this very agency shut down a church that bought its land legitimately at GRA. They bought their land, they started building, and they're almost at roofing stage, and this agency said you can't have this here, that you can't keep this church close to the DSS office and inside GRA, that the noise, and you can't start checkmating people going to a church, so it can bring terrorism and all that. So this agency were able to do that. But when it comes to now meeting individuals who are building where they don't have to build, these agencies find it so difficult to do that. It comes about the kind of people in power. It's power in Igbo land or in Nigeria. It's sometimes, the reality is, it's sometimes more of a vendetta thing.
So it looks like power where actually favors the richer and favorable to the weak.
Vendetta thing in the sense that those in power, those who have the capacity to do what they have to do, they do it partially. It always works against the weaker people, in quotes, those that are seen to be poor or powerless. Power seems to always work against them. When their houses are not where it has to be, it's very easy for government to come and crush those houses down. When they build their shops on the road, the government finds it's very easy to come and crush it down. We find cases where in people's houses are in a line. Governments would crush house A, leave house B, crush house C. So we have these kind of issues happening on a steady. Sometimes you see that houses be on the line, and house B is that a very powerful person. They will come and crush just house B, and from all indications, this was a vendetta. You understand? So it's always against the weak or those vulnerable when there is a fight. You understand? It's not about doing the right thing. And it goes back to the whole system of governance, how the whole democracy of a thing works. Are the people in power the people that are supposed to be in power? Are those people that are given appointments into certain ministries? How qualified are they? Is the commissioner for education, is he an educationist? Is the commissioner for health, is he a doctor? Is he a medical practitioner?
It's not always being a medical practitioner. Are they willing?
No, it's not
even perform.
At least they should be professionals. Is the commissioner for Capital Territory Development Agency, is he a surveyor? Is he an engineer? What did he study? Where did he study? How did he study it? You understand? But we live in a system where we first of all have to consider political affiliations. What party is this person? They consider the party. They now consider, where are you from? Are you my brother? Are you loyal to me? So the policy in politics is not about who can deliver. It's not about potency. It's about loyalty. So professionalism and ability to do is not the watchword. It's not the thing to look at or to find in. It's a very far thing. People want to look at, where is he from? How loyal is he? How long have we been together? Who is recommending him? And the recommendations aren't based on he can do. No. It's based on he's my boy. Godfatherism now comes to place. Then in the side of tribe and all that, nepotism now. These are the problems we face. These are the criteria for political appointments in the country. And it keeps happening, not just in the state level, in the federal level, in the local government level, and even in Igbo's cabinets. It happens. You find that it's about who you trust, not who can deliver. You understand? It's about who will take anything he's trying to shove down their throats, low line and sinker. It's not about who can do or who cannot do. You understand? So when you bring people who do not understand the nitty-gritties in certain fields, and that person is now in charge to see to it that there is no flood, that the roads are good, that there are drainage systems where they have to be, there is literally no way that person, somebody that doesn't know something, if you don't have it, you don't have it. So there is literally nothing they can do. They just have to go there, find a way to write budget, pad it, get the money, invest the money. Because even if they want to work, they don't know what to do. And if they employ someone that knows how to do, if they don't know, the Nigerian mindset is a scheming mindset, where if I can get this without doing what I have to do, let me just get it.
Okay, as we come to the end of this program, in as much as we are calling on the ministers of environmentals, the ex-former people to come and help remove all this garbage along the roadside and to help us in case of this upcoming floods based on the rainy season, we are actually attesting to the individuals to at least help one way or in the other ways. Market people who do dispose their garbage inside the gutter, please, it's a bad thing to do, as these stuffs actually block drainages and leads to loss of properties, life and production, crop self, it damages the crop and so many other things. So we should try our possible best to do the right things when necessary. And with this, we are actually at the end of this program. Do join us same time every Tuesdays and every Thursday on Cool City Television. And remember, it's your space. Bye.
In a country of over 200 million people,